In a completely packed octagon, the seventh defense of the world champion's title is about to be celebrated against his challenger. He's a man of great musculature and enormous size. But now it's time to present the champion. In the red corner stands King Gillian with 37 fights in his entire career. 37 victories, and he won them all by knockout. The announcer says that in his last 10 fights, he hasn't used either of his legs, and it's rumored this might be due to a leg injury, and they wonder what the challenger will do to bring him down. The referee starts the fight and facing him. The challenger begins to feel a bit of fear. The presence the champion imposes is quite overwhelming. But he also remembers that rumor. And while observing his leg, he says that if he manages to attack it, he'll surely obtain a sure victory. With that intention, he rushes directly at his leg. When he was quite close, he says he's going to make him suffer for coming to the ring with an injured leg. But just before grabbing it, he ended up receiving a powerful blow, and now he's lying on the ground. Seeing that he wasn't moving, the referee immediately ended the fight, and King Gillian tells him he shouldn't be trusting rumors. The fight ended, and once again, no one could take his belt from him.
Lovers, updates. It Is My New channel is dedicated to delivering clear, engaging manhwa recaps for fans worldwide. Subscribe for regular updates and join our growing community of manhwa lovers.
Then came to his closet to change his cloth. After changing, he was already leaving. His trainer asks where he thinks he's going, since he still has to do the press conference. He tells him to take care of it, and before leaving, thanks him for his work and hopes for his call when he has another fight. Totally indignant, his trainer says he understands, so he's going to accompany him to the basement so he can get his car. But he says that since there's a lot of traffic, he's going to run straight to his house. This left him thoughtful, and he immediately left through the door while telling him there are 30 kilometers to get to his house. But he found that all the interviewers were already waiting for him, and with nothing else to do, he started answering questions. As expected, they asked about his leg injury, and he says they should stop believing nonsense because the only reason he didn't use his legs was a restriction he imposed on himself. The first time he met him, he did debut with a knockout, and since then, he kept training him. King Gillian kept winning fight after fight, no matter how powerful the rival was. And that's how they reached the top. Despite being at the peak of his fighting career, he knows he doesn't feel any emotion, because until now, no opponent has appeared who has been a challenge to him. After a couple of hours, he arrived completely soaked at his house, and after changing, he went straight to his computer. Now he doesn't have an expression of frustration, because it's time to play Cyber. This game appeared many years ago and has extreme difficulty. Even the best players in the world started playing it. But this was too much for them, and little by little, they started to give up on it. But our protagonist has been playing it for the last 10 years, because the extreme difficulty is a real challenge for him, and that's what excites him the most. Today, he's going to face the Demon King Ear. His character delivered a powerful slash, but despite the enormous size, the Demon King was able to dodge it. A series of attacks began where neither took a step back, but then he realizes something. The enormous beast started to slow down, and so he managed to connect attack after attack until suddenly he activated a special ability. With this, he could put an end to the life of this demon. But despite having the most powerful being in this world cornered, he says he's afraid to win, because if that happens, he won't have another thing that excites him in life. That's why he started to encourage the beast, saying he knows this isn't the end and that it can still bring something more. He started typing with emotion, but to his misfortune, he ended up cutting it in half with the next attack. As expected, he's not happy at all, because this time he has become the champion of two different worlds. That's why he ended up smashing his head against the screen while complaining that. He dedicated many years to this game for it to simply end in an hour. He wonders what he has to do now to find a bit of excitement, though he also mentions it wouldn't be bad to fight against the clone. Suddenly, something started to illuminate his room, and a powerful lightning bolt fell right on his floor and everything went dark. Little by little, he started to regain consciousness. Then he started to hear other voices, until when he opened his eyes, he saw the ground was completely soaked. Suddenly, someone touched his shoulder. When he turned to look at him, he sees there's a strange boy who tells him there's no time for that, and what they have to do now is leave immediately. But looking at his clothing, he sees it's a prison uniform, and on his clothes is the number 172. Looking ahead, he's even more confused, because there are a bunch of people with this same outfit, and they're all running toward a large door. But what truly caught his attention is the flag that's on the wall, because that symbol seems too familiar to him. The other tells him there's no time to waste and they have to run immediately, because this is the only opportunity they're going to have to escape from Carrion Prison. That name left him shocked, and he tells him to repeat it again. This is the name of one of the most secure prisons in all of Cyber. Looking at the whole panorama, he wonders if he's dreaming. Whether he's ready or not, the others started to pull him, so they run straight toward the door. Meanwhile, our protagonist still can't believe he's inside that game, and there are so many things that he wants to know. But suddenly he grabs the other's hand and asks if he doesn't feel there's something strange happening, because if this place is Carrion, it shouldn't be so easy to leave this place. The blonde explains that the prison captain had to leave in an emergency, and that's why they're taking advantage of this moment to escape. Our protagonist grabs him from behind and starts to take him away, while the other tells him he's doing something crazy. All his instincts tell him he shouldn't go through that door. The other kept insisting he let him go, because the other prisoners already managed to open the gigantic door. With great faces of satisfaction, they started running toward their freedom, until suddenly someone cut off their arm. Right in front of them is Captain Clark, who while laughing tells them they're idiots. He raised his weapon and orders all the guards to kill them. Totally desperate, everyone started entering back into the prison, while those who were near the door were being massacred. After a couple of minutes, only the sound of the rain could be heard. Seeing that they already managed to control the situation, the captain orders them to organize the other prisoners. Only 30% managed to survive this massacre. Looking at the body of one of his companions, the blonde started to vomit. A guard appeared who gives him a knee strike while telling him they said he shouldn't move and warns the others that if someone makes an involuntary movement, their head will be cut off. While observing the others, our protagonist says they don't even have compassion for children and feels the atmosphere is too heavy, that a massacre could occur at any moment. But suddenly the captain appeared right in front of him, who tells him he was lucky, though surely it was because he's too cowardly to try to flee. He mentions that mages are cowards, and it gives him great shame that they compare them as rivals. As he approaches him, he says, "Arhat, today you'll regret not having died." But that last name left our protagonist very shocked, because Arhat is the name of one of the most powerful mage families in the entire continent, and it seems he's one of them. A week passed, and the routine in the prisoner camp is quite simple. He has to move rocks from one side to the other, a quite simple way to torture prisoners. During all that time, he discovered a couple of things about his body. The first is that he has a 2-week body because he runs out of breath moving a simple rock. The other is that he's at least 15 years old, and when he tried to use magic, not even a spark came out. Though this seems very strange to him, because if he's an Arhat, he should be capable of using magic. Though he comes to the conclusion that maybe that's why he was banished to that place, because being such an important family, they surely wouldn't let him tarnish their name. The captain orders him to move the rocks, and without hesitation, he started doing it. But there's one more thing that has our protagonist confused, and it's that right in front of him, there's a system window saying that data synchronization is already at 78%, and he wonders how long it will take to complete. After a couple of hours, lunchtime arrived. Our protagonist thinks that during all that time, he's been constantly exercising his body, but with the scarce food they give him, he doesn't have many results. The blonde appeared, who asked him if today he's not going to eat his bread. Without even bothering, our protagonist gave it to him, but he also thinks he's very different from the other prisoners, because everyone always avoids him, but this guy doesn't even hesitate to approach him. One of the distinctive features of the Arhats are the red eyes, because it's said they obtained a curse for having killed too many people, and if you cross paths with one of them, you'll die instantly. He thinks that guy must share the same age as him. Besides, they're cellmates, but he still can't understand what kind of relationship these two had and why someone so young entered this prison. The blonde tells him he should start being very careful, because lately the workload has increased thanks to him, and this has started to bother all the prisoners. And above all, it quite bothered prisoner number 589, who is known as the leader of the prisoners, and when he was free, he was a famous arena fighter. A bit confused, our protagonist asks him, "Then why don't you decide to move away?" He responds with a smile, saying there are already companions, and he simply can't move away. While getting up, our protagonist says it's best he leave his side because it seems things are going to get a bit complicated. Turning around, he sees that 589 was already coming his way, and behind him there's a large number of prisoners. With evident anger, he asks if he's Arhat, because thanks to him, the workload has increased quite a bit. With total arrogance, he tells him yes, he is. Besides, he only asked them to increase the work to be able to exercise a bit. But without finishing speaking, he threw a powerful punch. Totally scared, the blonde asks if he's all right, but suddenly our protagonist grabbed him by his neck. He immediately connected a powerful blow on his face. This left all the prisoners astonished, but the truth is this blow was too soft. While he's smiling, the bald man asks, "What the hell are you doing?" Looking at this, our protagonist thinks he can't believe he has such a weak body. Immediately, he grabbed him by his neck and, with great power, smashed him against the wall, while the other tells him he's going to die for his insolence. Our protagonist isn't suffering because he's quite damaged, but because right in front of him appeared the window saying synchronization has been completed. His body started to expel a large amount of energy, and suddenly all his muscles started to grow, until a great wave of mana started to expand throughout the zone. Then he started to check his arms, and started to make small jumps to check if he can have total control of his body. Getting into battle position, he tells him to try again. The other started to laugh. He tells him he thinks he's quite tough, despite having been expelled from his family. Our protagonist tells him to shut his mouth and come, or is he scared? Without hesitation, the bald man lunged at him, but when he was quite close, he connected a kick. But to his surprise, he grabbed his leg, and while telling him he's going to put him in his place, he ended up receiving a blow. He had to release him, but before trying to do something, he connected another blow, and completely stunned, our protagonist delivered the final blow. The gigantic prisoner is now lying on the ground, while observing him. He says that's the reason he never liked using his legs, because his fights always ended quite quickly. Without hesitation, the other prisoners, completely armed, started to lunge at him, but with great tranquility, our protagonist approached the other's body, and grabbing one of his arms, tells them if they take one more step, he won't hesitate to break his arms. If they want him to be saved, someone has to go call the guards. This stopped them for a moment, but seeing that no one moved a muscle, he started to squeeze a bit more until a small crunch was heard. Without hesitation, one ran off in search of the guards. They ended up taking him away, and with this, each one was taken to their cells. There, the blonde tells him that it was quite impressive, but also asked if he was always this tall, trying to camouflage this change. Our protagonist says he should try lifting a bit more rocks, but there he thinks synchronization converts all real-world statistics into game statistics, though compared to his real body, it's still too small. He opened the system window, and there he discovers he's called Set Arhat and is a mage class. He can also see he has S-class abilities, but there are two things that worry him. One is a growth penalty, because all his strength, agility, and resistance abilities have been decreased to 50%, but the most important is that he has 0 mana. This left him him completely stunned, because despite being a mage, he has absolutely no mana in. He wonders what kind of trash body they decided to give him. Hours passed, and while lying down, he says he now understands why they decided to discard him from his family, because someone so useless would only bring many misfortunes. Though he also says he has all his strength and agility statistics at 100, but due to that penalty, he can only use half of them. He says he can surely lift that restriction by doing a bit more exercise and eating well, but that last part is a big problem, because in prison, they don't have even one good meal. Of all the S-class abilities, he only knows how 2 of them work, but the others are totally unknown. That's why he decides to take it calmly, because he surely has plenty of time to find a solution. A guard was heard saying the other prisoners should come out. While observing them, he asks what's happening. The blonde tells him those are prisoners who are going to eat their last meal, because before dying, they give them the right to request anything they want. This gave our protagonist a small idea. That's why he decides to ask the other his name. He was a bit amazed, because generally here no one asks what they're called. He tells him his name is Lou, and he has no last name because he grew up in the streets. Our protagonist introduces himself as Set Arhat and asks if he wants to get out of here. He says obviously yes, because he has many important things to do. Our protagonist asks if he's thought of any way to get out, and he says the only exit is the main door, and the director has the only key. Our protagonist says the only solution is to steal the key from him, but he tells him he's completely crazy because only someone out of their mind would try to do something like that. Our protagonist remembers that Director Clark is a typical knight who hates mages too much. In the world of cyber, knights and mages never get along well. Despite being retired, being from the 5th circle represents an imminent danger. That's why he says they have to find another way to steal it, because having grown up on the streets, he learned to steal before saying a single word. The only problem is the director is always surrounded, and that's why he didn't have the opportunity to steal it. Our protagonist has started to smile, while saying he's already plotting a plan to escape. The next morning arrived, and all the prisoners are in the camp to move the stones again. But this time there's a big change, because by the director's orders, this time they don't have to stop for a single second and have to run with all the stones. This started to bother all the prisoners who complain they can't follow that pace all day. The guard pointed his sword at them and says he's simply transmitting the director's orders, though in his personal opinion, all this is due to a certain subject. He threw a discreet look, and everyone started looking at our protagonist. Then, disguising a bit, the guard says he forgot he had to do a couple of things and left all the prisoners. Seeing he has everyone's attention, our protagonist says surely this is a plan of the director's, because for some reason he can't kill him yet with his own hands and is trying to make a riot. Thinking about it a bit more, surely what happened yesterday was also his fault. That's why he tells Liu to go hide, because things are going to get a bit entertaining. The other prisoners started to approach him, saying they have to eliminate him so they won't have more problems. Our protagonist, completely calm, says he can't blame them. Suddenly, everyone started to lunge at him, but the one who attacked first was our protagonist, who with a single blow left him lying on the ground while telling them they're idiots if they thought he was going to stand with his arms crossed. Getting into battle position, he tells them to come whenever they want. Without hesitation, everyone did so, but they couldn't get close, when our protagonist left them unconscious with a single blow. While he starts to hit each one of them, he says his dream was always to have this type of fight in the octagon, though thanks to those rules, he could never fulfill it. Completely excited, he started to hit each one of them. Watching from afar, Leo is completely amazed, because he never thought that anyone would be capable of doing that, but another person appeared behind him. Meanwhile, our protagonist is entering a trance, because despite being surrounded by enemies who are completely armed, he doesn't even have a bit of fear. This emotion of being outnumbered only makes his adrenaline spike. That's the reason he became addicted to fighting. He kept hitting each one of them, and while smiling sinisterly, says this is still beginning, but then someone interrupts him. Looking back, he sees they have already captured Lou, and the other tells him if he wants his friend to survive, he should let himself be killed. Our protagonist looks at this with anger, though then he started to laugh while telling him they just made a big mistake. He tells him to stop being so arrogant, and while taking out his weapon, says he's a 2nd circle knight and Arhat without any trace of mana is not a threat to him. He decided to attack. To his surprise, his weapon ended up piercing the ground, and he wonders what the hell just happened. Then he heard the noise and they're turning to look. He sees his companion has already been knocked down. He asks what the hell that was that he just did, because he shouldn't be capable of using even a bit of magic. While smiling, our protagonist says he can't use any magic at all. He decided to attack him. As he approached, he started to gain strength with spins until suddenly he connected a blow on his face, and this sent him flying. But things still aren't over, because from a door entered the captain accompanied by a bunch of guards and asked what the hell just happened. But the one who responded was Lou, saying that 218 is actually the victim here because everyone else tried to attack him and he only acted in self-defense. The captain started to examine the entire area, and while looking at the bodies says they were idiots for not taking advantage of the opportunity they were given. Then he asks our protagonist if he can finally use mana, but with an arrogant attitude, our protagonist says he doesn't know. Suddenly, great pressure started to come out of the captain. All the prisoners started to fall to their knees, including Lou, because the captain's powerful aura started to expand throughout the entire zone. But the one who was truly surprised is the captain, because our protagonist didn't even move a single muscle, and instead of suffering, started to smile, because in front of him appeared a system window saying the champion's unbreakable will ability has just been activated. This allows him to resist any type of suppression. While observing this, he says this ability is quite broken, because the game adopted his incredible presence as champion, so he'll never be be intimidated by someone who's far below him. For the first time, he says this game knows what it's doing. Meanwhile, the captain still hasn't come out of his amazement and wonders how the hell he can be calm if he can't even feel a hint of mana in him. That's why he decided to take a bit of air and started to release more energy, ending up breaking all the ground, and the other prisoners started to fall unconscious. But despite all this, our protagonist remains standing and now looks at him with an arrogant smile while wondering what he's going to do now. But suddenly the guards themselves asked their captain to stop because many ended up unconscious. With no other options, he had to calm his power. Our protagonist smiled, having obtained victory, but he also thinks if he had decided to attack him, he surely would have died. Completely angry, the captain decided to return while ordering them to keep working. But our protagonist stopped him, saying he actually has some things to tell him. He explains he's very tired of moving rocks from one side to the other, and there's no point living being constantly attacked by all the prisoners. So he's decided to make a decision. Both he and the blonde have decided to accept the death sentence. The captain asks if he's sure or is he going to change his mind at any moment. He responds saying if he's so afraid he should bring a recording crystal to have it as proof. Without hesitation, the captain ordered them to bring one immediately because this way he'll be able to eliminate a stupid Arhat mage. Taking advantage of this, our protagonist says he heard they let the condemned choose any food, and that's why he wants a Highland beef from Birdie, and they shouldn't even think of bringing just one piece, but enough so he can satisfy himself. This left all the guards amazed because this beef is of the highest quality that exists in this world, and only 100 grams of it can cost up to a gold coin. He tells the captain if he'll only accept recording his voice on the crystal if they also promise to bring him S-rank meat. Besides, he didn't forget to bring a good amount for his companion too. To everyone's amazement, the captain decided to accept. They returned to their cell because they were informed it is going to take a week to get that meat. Meanwhile, they won't do any extra work and will be fed with the same food as the guards. Our protagonist took advantage of this to train, while Lou watches him suffer. He tells him he's an idiot to be doing other things when in a couple of days they're going to end his life. But the truth is our protagonist has other plans in mind because Cyber has a very special system where when an ability reaches its maximum, all stat points pass to the next ability. Since all his statistics are at maximum, he knows all the experience he gains will increase his mana points. Time passed until one night one of the guards told him his food is ready. Sitting in a private room, they're gorging themselves on a large amount of this meat. The most excited is Lou because for the first time he's tasting something truly delicious. While our protagonist also enjoys this meat, he says requesting this meat was also part of his plan because being something of S rank, it increases all statistics for a small period of time. He can feel all his decisions are being lifted, and with this, his first objective has been fulfilled. Minutes passed and they finished eating. While analyzing, he says he can feel how all the energy overflows through his body. Suddenly, the door opened. The one who entered was the captain. Our protagonist tells him it was about time he came, though to his bad luck, they didn't save him even a small piece. Completely angry at this lack of respect, the captain grabbed him by his shoulder, and while looking at him with bloodlust, says he'll make him suffer eternal agony. After the first incident, the captain never stopped thinking that guy had already awakened mana, and that's why. He decided to take some precautions and decided to buy a strange artifact. He says that bastard belongs to one of the most powerful magical families in the entire empire, and even if he was banished, any fragment of information he can obtain from him would be the perfect door to obtain a more peaceful place where he could retire. Our protagonist immediately realized this. Suddenly, the captain started to channel a large amount of mana, and while smiling, tells him no matter how skilled he is, in the end, he's going to end up surrendering before him. But looking at him in the eyes, he was totally surprised to see that again, he's not reacting in the slightest. Instead, Liu started to grab his leg, so he decided to shake him off with a powerful blow. Immediately, he turned out to look at our protagonist, who tells him he should take things calmly. Completely angry, he grabbed him by both shoulders and started to increase the pressure more. But despite this, our protagonist is completely calm, and with a simple slap, he got him off him while telling him he should take it more calmly. If he really wants to kill him, it would be best to do it legally with an execution instead of doing this type of tantrum. Again, the captain is totally amazed because even with this artifact, this guy remains standing, and there's only one answer for that. This guy must be a sixth circle mage. That's totally impossible because even after having worked his entire life, he reached the fifth circle. That this bastard who was expelled from his family has been capable of surpassing him means he shouldn't underestimate him. Totally defeated, he decided to deactivate the artifact. Our protagonist asks if he's already tired of his game. Disguising his defeat, the captain started to leave while telling him tomorrow will be his execution, and it doesn't matter if he's an Arhat. He can't ignore the established laws, so for now he can enjoy his last night. Arriving at his office, he started to write everything that happened. He says he couldn't obtain the information he wanted, but that guy being capable of surpassing him is something too important, and that's why he has to write all this, because someone might be interested. But suddenly he felt his eyes become too heavy, and he started to run out of strength to hold the pen, and that's how he ended up falling asleep. Later in his cell, our protagonist asks Lou if he's already all right. He tells him he's a bit dizzy and with many urges to vomit, but changing the subject, he asks if he was able to steal it. With a big smile, Lou shows him, yes, he was able to steal the keys. Our protagonist was fascinated by this because any person would have fainted immediately when the captain started to expel that amount of energy. It seems this guy is much stronger than he had thought. Lou says he honestly thought his plan was never going to work and asks if he's all right after having received so much energy. Our protagonist tells him nothing happened, but this raised raised his suspicions once more, and he tells him he can feel there's something strange about him. Deviating from the topic, he says he should lift a bit more rocks. Then he decided to check the system window, and there, he could see some of the restrictions have been removed. He says that meat was quite surprising, because after all, he still feels the energy coursing through his entire body. After sitting for a moment, he tells Lou that when he feels a bit better, they're going to escape this very night. A bit worried, he tells him the director could realize at any moment, but our protagonist tells him he doesn't have to worry about that, because he's very sure he won't even be able to move. On the way to his cell, he remembered what type of artifact he was using. This allows an increase in magical power in exchange for enormous fatigue, and most likely that he won't wake up for 2 days straight. Although his plan was different, he finally got the most important elements to escape. After a couple of hours, the two are standing in front of the door. But a bit nervous, Liu asks our protagonist if he's sure about this. He says he can stay if he's afraid, but he says he won't in any way, though he also asks what they're going to do to open the room since he only has the key for the main door. Our protagonist tells him to go back for a moment, and with a great blow, he knocked down the large metal door. But the noise attracted the guards, who ask what the hell they're doing. With great tranquility, he tells them it's everything it seems, and so they started to escape. The one who guided the whole way was the blonde until. Now they're in the courtyard, and in front of them is the main door, but it's being guarded by a large number of guards. He tells Liu not to stop running, and at great speed he shot off. He easily managed to dodge a slash, but then grabbed the other's face and with force sent him flying. This left them truly impressed. But when they turned around to counterattack, our protagonist gave a small blow on his neck, and he started to run out of air. But without time to stop, our protagonist kept advancing, and so connected a blow on another. None were capable of stopping his advance, so they decided to attack him with two. But this only excited him even more, and with an incredible double kick, he managed to knock them down easily. This left Liu very impressed, while saying he's a monster. After a couple of hours, they managed to wake the captain with a bunch of potions. Seeing all the disaster that just happened, he orders all the guards to go out in search of that bastard. A couple of kilometers from the prison, they hid there for a couple of hours, but seeing there's no movement, they left their hiding place. Liu tells them this is a small town called Motar, and it's the village closest to the prison, and obviously the place where they'll come looking for them first. So they have to find a way to camouflage themselves. He started to look through a small box while our protagonist tells him he's going to trust his judgment. Then Liu gives him a couple of clothes to put on, but seeing they're in very bad condition, he asks what the hell he's doing. He explains the place is full of many beggars. Two more won't attract attention. After changing, he tells our protagonist to stay here for a moment because he wants to look for a couple of things they need. After an hour, he returned because what he went to look for were contact lenses to camouflage our protagonist's lineage. He tells him they're in the southern region that belongs to the Bale house, so blue eyes are very popular in this region. But the name Bale, our protagonist knows quite well because the character he played for more than 10 years in this game was called Torres Bale. And there he just realized the distinctive feature the most powerful casts in the entire kingdom had. Then they hid in a stable to rest a bit while lying down. Our protagonist keeps wondering how the hell he ended up inside the game. He says during all that time, the system hasn't given him any answer. For the moment, all this feels quite fun, but there's something that worries him. It's why Lou keeps sticking to him during the whole journey. He kept calling him his savior, and he knows very well that Clark is after him, and someone intelligent would look for any excuse to escape. But the truth is, he still knows very little about him, but for all his abilities, for the moment, he's going to need his help. The next morning arrived, and seeing the place where he was sleeping, he asked how the hell he was capable of sleeping in this place. Lou asks if the great noble is uncomfortable sleeping in this type of place. Our protagonist says no one would sleep in this place out of pure pleasure, and the other says he's right about that, but they simply have to adapt. But our protagonist can't accept that and says they're going to need money to buy a bit of food. Liu asks where the hell he plans to get money, or does he want him to teach him how to steal? Our protagonist tells him it's not necessary because he knows the perfect place where he can get money. That place is the underground arena. That's how they arrived at the arena, where there's a large number of people gathered. Liu tells our protagonist they surely came to the wrong place. But with a big smile, our protagonist tells him he didn't make a mistake. Right on the ring, there are two enormous people fighting. One started to bite the other, but he was immediately repelled with a powerful blow. Quickly, he adopted a defensive position, but this received him a lot because he ended up receiving a powerful blow to his side. Seeing that intense battle, people started to shout with excitement. Our protagonist is analyzing them and says they don't fight badly at all. The redhead started to charge at the other and, at great speed, connected a blow on his face. But this was only the beginning. He started to massacre him with blows, and blood started to spread throughout the entire arena. Looking at such a scene, Liu tells our protagonist these places are much more dangerous than prison. But when he looks to his side, he realizes our protagonist is no longer there. Also, all the people stayed silent because our protagonist appeared in the ring and stopped the other's attack while telling him he should take it calmly because his rival obviously can't move anymore. Then he looks at the referee and asks why the hell he didn't stop this fight, or is it that here they allow breaking the rules? Immediately, the giant put distance and wonders if that stupid is a noble, because if he is, it could have great consequences for everyone. Someone asks who he is. Our protagonist responds he's a simple street rat, which caused a great uproar from all the people because they lost a lot of money for nothing. Though our protagonist tells him to shut his mouth because if they want to fight, he's going to give them a real fight. He tells Lou to go bet all the money they have. He obviously tells him it's very dangerous what he's trying to do because at least he should realized the great size difference between both. He tells him again to shut his mouth and better go bet all the money they have, because if he does, he promises tonight they're going to eat a lot of barbecue. After a couple of minutes, both fighters are in the ring. The redhead started to look at our protagonist, but then something caught his attention. By his appearance, this guy shouldn't be over 15 years old, but his battle position is very intimidating. Although it's quite simple, it's very threatening, but he also realizes he started to feel fear and wonders what the hell is happening. With his pride damaged, he threw himself directly at our protagonist, but just before arriving, he ended up receiving a blow. Though now he's even more confused because he couldn't even see it coming. Our protagonist, with great tranquility, tells him he shouldn't move his arm too much backward. Immediately, he started to throw a large number of jabs, and this giant couldn't do anything to dodge them. He ended up receiving a large number of these simple blows until our protagonist took a step forward and delivered a powerful blow. The other ended up losing a couple of teeth. Meanwhile, Lou was completely terrified and was praying for our protagonist's life. A bit fearful, he started to open his eyes, but the scene he found left him completely impressed. He gigantic man is being dominated by our protagonist. He started to see double after receiving a large number of these blows and wonders. How he's losing to a beggar like him. That's why he threw the punch, though our protagonist managed to dodge it easily and, taking advantage of this opening, connected a blow on his face. Only this was enough to leave him on the ground. The entire arena stayed silent, but seeing the referee doesn't react. Our protagonist tells him if he can already end the fight, or does he want him to also break the rules. A bit embarrassed, the referee ended up giving him the victory. That's how they got a bit of money, but at the time of collecting, he found what they won was quite little. That's why he says there must be an error, because the bets were 62-1, and he's more than sure they should have received much more money. The guy, a bit nervous, tells him there's no error because that was all they bet. He started to look at Liu and asks how much he actually bet. A bit nervous, he tells him he couldn't risk too much because they needed the money in case he lost the fight. But then someone approached our protagonist. She's a beautiful woman and is accompanied by two gigantic guards. With a flirtatious smile, she asks if he'd like to go to a private place to talk. A bit angry, he asks who the hell she is. Taking it very calmly, she introduces herself as Edna and is the manager of this arena. But while she kept talking, our protagonist passed by her side saying he's not interested. But suddenly the gigantic guards blocked his way. Though without letting himself be intimidated, he asked if they wouldn't like to end up like the guy from before. But faced with such a threat, they didn't even respond. She speaks to him again and tells him the man he just defeated is called Icas, and he's a champion she herself brought from the capital. Having defeated her best fighter, they should make a small deal. But seeing he's in a bad mood, she's going to let him go this time. But he can be sure they'll have a chat later. Leaving the arena, they went straight to a meat restaurant, where Liu tells him he shouldn't act that way before that woman. Because even though she seems like a simple administrator, in reality, she's the true power behind this entire city. He says she seems more like an old fox who loves looking for money. He says he's right about that, because her nickname is Old Fox. But analyzing her a bit, our protagonist knows very well they only wanted to take advantage of him. Because the same thing happened to him when he started entering the world of martial arts, until by pure luck he got to know his trainer, who was the one who ended up turning him into a champion. His special order of meat arrived, but just before eating it, our protagonist tells Liu to stop, because this is fake meat. In the first place, they came here to eat a bit more variety meat, but having played this game for a long time, he can identify if it's real or fake. That's why he decides to call the waiter, who with confident eyes asks what the hell they want. He tells him that he paid a good amount of money to eat a bit of variety meat, but they're bringing him a simple fake. The waiter tells him he's not on the streets here and he won't be able to use this trick to get easy food. Seeing he's not going to get anything from him, our protagonist tells him to call his boss, or does he want him to make a scene to attract all the people's attention? Seeing this could get complicated, he decided to take him with him. Entering the room, he found the man is surrounded by a large number of assassins. He tells them they're very rude customers, but keeping calm, our protagonist says in reality they're the ones who have no manners because they're selling fakes. Hearing this, the owners started to laugh, saying he's right, but also he should keep his mouth shut, seeing he's at a great disadvantage. Getting into battle position, our protagonist tells him they can come at any time. The bandits started to approach him, but one by one he defeated them. The big smile the other had started to fade into an expression of deep fear, because in 1 second Ohersu men were completely defeated. Liu tells him he should be careful with him because that guy was the one who defeated the great Icas. There the other started to have even more fear because he had heard that rumor, but in reality he didn't believe it was true. With a trembling voice, he asked what he wants from him. Our protagonist says it's something quite simple, because there are two conditions. The first is they're going to return all the money they took a moment ago, and the second is they're going to give him all the food they want when they come here. That's how they close the deal. Night arrived, and with the little money they managed to get in the arena, they rented a small room. Liu is very happy to be sleeping in a bed after a long time. Then he tells our protagonist he can't deny he's a noble because he knows how to deal with people who have power. He says the restaurant owner wouldn't be convenient at all for him to start spreading rumors about the fake he was selling. So that's why he decided to accept his deal. But now it's time to sleep. Hours passed, but Liu opened his eyes. Then he started to ask our protagonist if he was awake. Seeing he doesn't react, he started to put on his clothes and started to leave silently. Days passed, and one morning our protagonist kept training. He tells him he doesn't understand why he does this type of thing, because according to what they told him, mages hate being soaked in sweat, but he trains every day. He asks if it's because he doesn't have any mana. Our protagonist tells him it's a similar reason. reason. But the truth is he's a bit frustrated because no matter how much he trains every day, the mana points haven't started to increase in the slightest. So to release a bit of frustration, they decide to go eat a bit. This time they'll return to the meat restaurant because 3 days passed since the last time they went. Because in reality, he didn't plan to abuse that man. But while they were going, he asks Lou how many coins he has left. He tells him they don't have too much left because the quality of life in this city is very high. This left our protagonist thoughtful. For many years, he played this game enough to know that spending 50 coins in a couple of days would basically be living a rich life, and they haven't been having that lifestyle. He can sense that guy is stealing money from him, but he doesn't know if he's hiding it out of pure greed or if he's planning something else. So for the moment, he's going to make him believe he can fool him to discover the truth. They arrived at the restaurant and one of the guards notified the owner, who, very annoyed by the humiliation he suffered a couple of days ago, says to start preparing the trap. Our protagonist was taken to a special room where there was already a large amount of meat on the table. Obviously, this started to raise suspicions, but when they entered the place, he didn't find any sign of suspicion and can't know what they're plotting. He left and gives him a small ball of meat, but just when he took the first bite, he felt a strange sensation through his body and tells Lou to spit it out immediately. While vomiting, Lou, a bit worried, asks if he's going to die. But our protagonist tells him to be calm because he simply ate a small portion and that shouldn't affect his life. He just realized it's poisoned. Thanks to the system, it just told him. And if he didn't have the poison immunity trait, he probably would have died. Lou keeps asking how the hell he knows if it's poisoned because he doesn't feel any strange smell. Our protagonist says it's because he's an arhat. Though without wanting to complicate things, he asks what they have to do now. Our protagonist, with evident anger, says they're going to stay because they'll make him pay for what he did to them. After a couple of minutes, they sent to call the local boss, who, a bit annoyed, asks why the hell they're still here, because what they should have done is eat and leave immediately. But while saying that, he looks at the plates are completely empty and thinks the frog poison will surely take effect in a couple of minutes. Our protagonist tells him he actually wanted to thank him. That's why he wants to invite him a small piece to close a new deal, because if he does, they won't come to eat here ever again. Lou extended the piece, but a bit nervous, he tells him he's not going to accept any of that, because in reality, he never plans to make another deal with him. Our protagonist asks if he likes being extorted, or is there another reason not to eat it, something like the meat being poisoned. The other tells him not to say nonsense, but moving the table with a single blow, it could be seen that all the meat was hidden underneath. Seeing they knew it was poison, he started to panic, but immediately says he has to keep calm because surely there's no way they know for sure. He says he actually had planned to come once a month, but seeing he's a piece of trash, he'll make pay for what he did. The other, completely angry, asks where his proof is. Taking off his contact lenses, our protagonist tells him these are his proof, revealing his completely red eyes. Looking at them, his legs started to tremble and a deep fear started to run through him. Immediately he knelt down, asking for forgiveness, because he never wanted to endanger the life of a great arhat, and he started to cry. But looking at this reaction, that our protagonist realized the authority his house has is much more powerful than he had imagined. That's why he says he's going to get a bit more profit from this, and tells him only this time he's going to forgive his life. The other started to scream, saying he's grateful for that, but our protagonist tells him he still hasn't finished, because for his insolence, he'll have to give him all half of his riches. He accepted without hesitation, because there's no point in having riches when one is dead. Immediately, he ran out to sign the papers, but not even a minute passed when the door opened again. But this time another person entered, Edna, who says they met again, but she never expected he'd be quite an interesting type. Our protagonist wonders if that guy already revealed his identity, but throwing him a look, he started to deny immediately. There he thinks surely the captain must have already made contact with her. With nothing else to do, he tells her to go to a private place to talk. There he asks what business she wants with him, but she tells him in reality she doesn't have business with him, but with his companion. She tells him she needs a bit more money for the work she asked him to do. Though completely angry, tells her that wasn't in the deal and he already gave her all the money he had. She says that small amount didn't even cover half of all the expenses they'll have to make to fulfill that mission. Seeing Leo started to cry, our protagonist realized where the money he was stealing was going. That's why he decided to intervene. He reminds Edna she already told him they had some matters to attend to, so he asks that both matters be won. If she fulfills his companion's work, he'll fulfill the work she tells him. Obviously, this was what she was looking for and says she accepts. Her condition is for him to fight Actus one more time. Without hesitation, our protagonist accepted. 3 days passed, and again our protagonist is standing in the underground ring where there's a large number of people. In front of him is Ickis, raising his hands as if he were a champion. Seeing that strange attitude, he wonders what kind of changes they've made to him. He warns he feels there's something strange. Our protagonist agrees with him. Both are facing each other, and the referee says to start. But suddenly all the people started to be amazed because Ickis started to imitate the same position as our protagonist, while smiling arrogantly. He says they already revealed to him he's an Arhat mage, and now he's going to make him pay for the humiliation he made him feel. Immediately, he threw himself at the attack, but our protagonist dodged it easily, though he's also a bit impressed, because his blows this time have a better posture. He's also copying his same attacks. While attacking, he tells him he was practicing during all the days, and now he's not the only one who can do this. But while dodging, our protagonist noticed something strange about his waist. That's why he decided to give an attack. He took a bit of distance, but despite it being a direct blow, he doesn't even show a bit of damage. There he realizes this is an orc belt, a special object that absorbs 90% of physical physical damage. Meanwhile, Lu, seeing the giant didn't fall after receiving that blow, tells our protagonist they should flee, because surely that woman did something strange to him. But keeping calm, our protagonist tells him to shut up and observe. Seeing he doesn't move, Icus asks if he's already afraid. Our protagonist tells him he's really surprised, but now he's going to show him something else. That's why he lowered his guard and started to make small jumps in the arena. This left the other confused, and while wondering what the hell he's doing, he ended up receiving a powerful blow. Our protagonist decided to attack with his legs. Without giving him more time to be amazed, he threw the next attack. Now he's seeing what King Gillian is capable of. The one who was called the strongest man on Earth. In his entire career, opponents didn't last even a minute against him, and that's why until now, he didn't have the opportunity to use all his techniques. But this guy's quite different, because despite having received 2 powerful blows, he's still standing, and this simply excites him more, because for the first time, he feels there's someone capable of withstanding his power. He threw himself at the attack. Seeing this, Icus tried to block it, but through a small opening, our protagonist connected another blow again, and quickly hit his stomach. But this still doesn't end, and he started to pummel him with blows, while the gigantic man says he feels all those attacks are much more powerful. He wonders how that's possible because he's using a special item. While he keeps attacking him, our protagonist asks if he doesn't plan to fall. He tried to say he surrenders, but our protagonist hit his mouth before he could speak, and the massacre only continued and continued, making people stay completely stunned, until suddenly he connected a powerful blow on his waist, and this made the belt start to break. Without the object's effect, Icus started to feel his body was going to explode, so he fell to his knees. Instead of stopping, our protagonist tells him to stand up because he still hasn't finished. Seeing the murderous pressure he has, Icus tried to surrender, but our protagonist hit him before he could speak. Putting his leg on his mouth, he tells him this still hasn't ended. While observing him carefully, the contact lens started to shatter, revealing his red eyes. Seeing this, Icus fell unconscious, but then our protagonist started to feel a strange sensation throughout his entire body, as if a strange energy started to run through each cell of his body. Suddenly, the system window opened, and now it shows he has 1 mana point. There he realized that's the energy he was feeling and says it feels quite good. Though there's also something strange, which is the entire place is in complete silence. Immediately, he tells him he has to flee because his pupils are exposed. Seeing in the red of his eyes, people started to run desperately because the legend says if someone looks an Arhat in the eyes, they'll automatically die. Taking advantage of the disturbance, our protagonist tells Lu it's the moment to escape. But before leaving, he warns Edna that there's a deal to make while she's completely angry. That bastard has ruined all her plans. Bringing Icus from the capital cost her 600 gold coins. Besides, she spent 200 gold coins on the objects she just bought him. On top of that, the prison captain offered her 100 coins if she delivered that guy. And now that he's fleeing, she just lost a total of 2,000 gold coins. She starts to scream, saying to look for him immediately. After a couple of minutes, our protagonist is hidden in an alley because all the prison guards are checking every centimeter of the town. They had to hide for a couple of hours, and when night fell, Lu says he's staying here because he'll go look for the Tuaro so they can flee. But right in front of him appeared a guy saying Lady Edna has a message for them, and if they try to look for another cart, it will be quite impossible. With no other option, they decided to get in. Lu says obviously this is a trap. Our protagonist tells him obviously he knows, but he doesn't like running away all the time, and sooner or later he'd have to face this problem. They left on the outskirts of town. Getting off the carriage, a large number of soldiers were already waiting for them, and among them is the prison captain. He tells them they were very clever to steal the key from him, but now they're not going to have much luck. Edna tells him if he had accepted working with her from the beginning, they wouldn't have to be going through this situation. Our protagonist tells her he never would have thought of accepting a deal with someone like her. But then the captain intervenes and tells him they're going to execute him this very moment. Our protagonist tells Liu to look for a hiding place. The captain starts to laugh and tells him his courage is admirable because he's willing to fight even knowing he's at a great disadvantage. But while observing him carefully, his personal motto is to know the probability of winning is 50%. Even though the enemy is quite powerful, he still has 50% chance of knowing he can win. The captain, angry at this attitude, tells him he'll make him pay for being so arrogant. He started to channel a large amount of aura and, without hesitation, threw himself at the attack. While observing him coming, our protagonist says his champion's weapon will never allow him to give up on a fight. A powerful clash occurred, and when the smoke started to dissipate, a gigantic cut could be seen on the ground. But the captain is confused because he can't see that bastard's corpse anywhere. Suddenly, he started to hear the sound of lightning. Looking up, he sees our protagonist is surrounded by a large amount of lightning. The system just activated his S-class ability called electrification. He threw himself against him. The captain managed to block the attack, but the lightning started to enter his body. That's why he had to jump back to put a bit of distance. He asked what the hell is happening, because he knew he's an Arhat who didn't have even a bit of mana. But above all, he's using thunder energy. In this world, mages only use the energies of the 4 elements, and the greatest dream they have is to obtain thunder energy, because this ignores all natural laws and therefore is the most powerful of all. Even the first head of the Arhat family could never get this power. And yet that bastard who didn't have even a bit of mana is using this incredible power. But instead of feeling fear, the captain started to get angry and says during his entire life he trained to reach this level. Only because of his lineage, he's reaching that level of power, and he doesn't plan to lose to someone like him. He threw a powerful slash that our protagonist managed to dodge easily, but this still doesn't end. Immediately, he threw another cut, and he managed to dodge it with great ease. But immediately, he threw himself at the attack. When he was quite close, the captain tells him he's a fool because he just entered his range and threw a cut. But to his surprise, his sword ended up colliding with something. Immediately, he was repelled upward, and taking advantage of this, our protagonist connected a powerful blow. The energy started to spread throughout the entire place. The captain managed to recompose himself and immediately threw himself at the attack. But our protagonist's speed is much faster. Immediately, he connected a blow. This left him truly surprised. He asked why the hell a mage is fighting with his arms, because for hundreds of years, mages use magic to keep knights at a distance while they tried to break their barrier. But he feels in this fight all the rules are being broken. Without wanting to accept defeat, he threw a counterattack, but again, our protagonist managed to block it. Seeing he's now at a disadvantage, the captain threw himself back again. But without giving him time to dig in, our protagonist approached him and immediately connected another blow. He was stunned by the lightning. Taking advantage of this opportunity, our protagonist connected a powerful blow. This way, he smashed him against a gigantic tree, and then he started to vomit blood. The guards ask if he's all right, but he warns them to stay back or they're going to die. Our protagonist started to approach slowly. The captain started to laugh while saying an Arhat's power is really formidable. He says that he accepts defeat, and that's why he's going to let him kill him. But before doing it, our protagonist asks if he wouldn't like to know why he lost. He says he doesn't want to hear any stupidity before his death. Though ignoring him, our protagonist tells him it's because he worked every day. This started to annoy him and tells him not to say nonsense. He comes from a lineage of powerful mages, and that's the only reason he had this magnificent power, and he'll never understand his position of having been born without any talent and having reached this level. For a moment, our protagonist stayed silent, but there he tells him, in reality, he's much weaker than him. His inferiority complex is what has blinded him during his entire life, and that same thing is what prevented him from continuing to progress. He doesn't have to look for the reason for his defeat in another place, but in himself. Hearing those words, the captain started to laugh, but this time not in a mocking way, because these words are the knight's code. He says it's ridiculous that a mage is telling him those words. With a calmer tone, he tells him he's heard enough and wants him to end his life. Our protagonist thinks he doesn't want to do it, because this way his head would obtain a reward, and he'd start to be searched for by the entire empire. Though in that instant, his power turned off. Seeing he's now totally defenseless, Edna tells the guards it is the right moment to attack. He thinks now he's in real trouble, but then a sharp wind started to run through the entire zone until it started to turn into a powerful typhoon. Seeing such power, our protagonist says there's a mage nearby, that's why they have to flee. But just before doing it, the storm stopped. But now he's truly shocked, because all the guards are lying on the ground. And none by Sidyai. Our protagonist wonders what the hell just happened, because he couldn't hear at what moment they were murdered. But without giving it more importance, he decided to look for Set. He asks what the hell just happened. Our protagonist says he doesn't know for sure, but the safest thing is to leave immediately. But before doing it, Luz says he found something strange on the ground. Grabbing it, he sees it's a card. With this in hand, they decided to enter the forest. After a couple of hours, they're sitting in a small bonfire. In his hand, our protagonist has that strange paper. That's why he decided to channel a bit of mana, and on it, a strange symbol could be seen. This is a black flame, the symbol of Arhat's black mirror body, the most powerful elite secret organization in the entire empire. The number behind it is the number 4. Our protagonist remembers very well what it means, because 1 means acceptance, 2 means rejection, 3 is negotiation, and 4 is protection. This means from now on they have decided to protect them. He wonders why they're doing all that when they decided to expel him from the family because he didn't have even a bit of power, or is it they've been watching him all this time? That's why he opened the system window and sees all his restrictions have been lifted. He even now has 3 mana points. But what catches his attention is the ability he just obtained, and this is called Transcendent Form, an ability that increases physical abilities in a surprising way. He says although his power continues to be very low, what he can do is really impressive. That's why he has no other options but to keep working. Liu asks what they have to do now. Our protagonist tells him they'll go to Prydal, the place where he told him he lost his brother. He says it's a good idea, but getting there without a carriage will be quite dangerous. Besides, that place is too far away from here. That's why our protagonist says they're going to need to adjust their escape road a bit. That's why they'll set Temayao as their new objective. But things there are going to get much more complicated, because an enormous magic circle appeared on the ground. From it started to come out of a bunch of knights. Leading this group is Torres Bale, who says he came with only one mission, and it's to execute Set Arhat. They started their journey through this dangerous forest, but during all that time, Leo complained about the foolish decision they're making. The place they're heading to is called Tamaya. It's a small village located in the south of the continent. On the outskirts of the entire empire, there are a bunch of demonic beasts trying to enter. That's why the royal family had assigned designated areas to each of the most powerful families there are. In the southern zone, it fell to Bale. Our protagonist says they're going to that dangerous place because only there is the transport portal located. Although it's quite expensive, even for nobles, they have enough money to use it. Night fell again, and while they were eating, our protagonist started to feel something quite strange. Suddenly, a small vibration started to run through the entire zone. Immediately, he tells Leo to hide. After a couple of moments, appeared a small group of cavalry. What first caught his attention is the horse has blue eyes, and he knows this quite well because they're knights. After counting each one of them, he realizes there there are 50. He says that they're in trouble because generally to be part of a cavalry squadron, you have to be from the 5th circle, and that means there are 50 knights who could be even stronger than the prison captain. Seeing this, Liu tells him he can start running because being an Arhat, they won't hesitate to kill him. Even if they manage to catch him, they'll only return him to prison. Our protagonist tells him not to say nonsense. Besides, he already has a backup plan and knows it's going to work very well. While the knights were pressing the place where they were making their bonfire, our protagonist started to appear in front of them and introduces himself as Set Arhat. Without hesitation, one threw himself at the attack, but suddenly his sword was repelled. Another appeared from behind, but again his weapon collided against something invisible. This left them truly confused, but our protagonist knows very well what's happening. These are the members of the Black Mirror, but he never thought there would be more than one. They started to lift the spell to discover there was a large number of them, and they have them completely surrounded. The one in front of our protagonist tells the others if they want to continue living, they shouldn't do anything. But then someone started to approach and asks who they think they are to stand in Bale's way. Our protagonist knows very well who that person is, because for many years he used him to play him this game. This person is Torres Bale. Looking at him, a feeling of great nostalgia started to grow within him. And with this, we end the video. There are still quite a few chapters of this manga left, so if you like the first part, be sure I won't hesitate to release the second part. I also warn you that if I don't have any other delay,
I will upload next if I get 100 subscribe.